So here's a question. Is there anybody the Trump regime won't threaten to arrest or flat out arrest? And as of right now, the answer is no. We've all seen the horror stories, 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 6-year-old American citizens being deported. The 4-year-old literally had cancer. There was a kid, a teenager, holding a water pistol. ICE thought it was real. They arrested him and shipped him out of the country. I think that one got sent to the El Salvador gulag. They arrested a judge that was just doing their job properly. So the question is, again, is there anybody they won't either threaten to arrest or arrest? We just discussed they didn't rule out arresting Supreme Court judges. So anybody who's not calling this fascism is a liar. They're either lying or they just don't follow this stuff at all and they're completely ignorant to what's happening. Or they're a fellow fascist, right? Those are the only options. Well, now, J.B. Pritzker is doing what we like to call reading the room. J.B. Pritzker looked around and thought, hold on now. Gavin Newsom is snuggling up to right-wingers on his shitty podcast and tanking in popularity. Gretchen Whitmer is meeting with Trump seemingly once a week and hugging him and embarrassing herself. Alyssa Slotkin tried to defend the oligarchy and got boos from every corner of the internet, of every political ideology from the center to the left. And so he looks around and he goes, who's got all the energy? Well, Bernie's got the energy. AOC's got the energy. You got some congressional Democrats leading. You got Governor Tim Walz leading, going to do town halls in red states where he's getting a great reception. He sees these Republican town halls where there's not a single person in the room who's defending them. Democrat, Republican, Independent, everybody sitting there is going, fuck you. You're ruining everything. So Pritzker looks around and he goes, okay, all right, I see what's happening. And so he goes and gives a speech the other day. He was at some New Hampshire event, which, by the way, the fact that he's in New Hampshire is tremendous evidence that he's definitely running for president in 2028. Okay, that's what that is. So he goes and he gives a speech, and he does not hold back at all ski. I mean, he goes out there, and he's like, never in my life did I think I'd be calling for mass protests, but I'm calling for mass protests. I'm calling for bodies in the streets. I'm calling for doing a strike. He said, these Republicans should never know a moment of peace. That's what he said. So he sees it. He gets the moment. Shout out to J.B. Pritzker. I mean, I'm sure I have plenty of other issues with him. He's a billionaire, which I don't like. I don't think we should have any billionaires. But having said that, we've had FDR was a class traitor, right? And he was best president we've had in modern American history. So, if you can call that modern, he might be the best president ever, period. I mean, obviously you could argue Lincoln freeing the slaves, but it's Lincoln, it's FDR, there's a small list that are elite. Okay, so here's a piece of J.B. Pritzker's speech. Let's watch this and then wait until you hear the regime's response.
Fellow Democrats, for far too long, we've been guilty of listening to a bunch of do-nothing political types who would tell you that America's house is not on fire, even as the flames were licking their faces. Here's the problem with the do-nothing crowd, now telling us what to do. Well, they spent their years watching Republicans illegitimately pack the Supreme Court, take away voting rights from people of color, systematically chip away at the constitutional order. And all the while, they offered, in response, a simple defense of norms and decorum and a blind hope that one day soon, Republicans would wake up to find their better angels. Well, that got us exactly where we are today. So, folks, the reckoning is here. And now that this culture of timidity is on full display, those same do-nothing Democrats want to blame our losses on our defense of black people, of trans kids, of immigrants, instead of their own lack of guts and gumption.
That line, man, I've been saying it for a long time now. The argument has to be MAGA is wrong. The problem in this country is not immigrants. The problem, it's not trans people. They are not the problem. That's the core of the MAGA argument is the country's messed up. You're getting screwed over. I know you're hurting. Blame the immigrant. Blame the trans people. It's called scapegoating. That's what that is. And our reaction has to be the problem is not those things. It's just not. It's just not. The problem are the billionaires. The problem are the multinational corporations. The problem, it's the corruption. It's the legalized bribery that we have here. That's the problem. Now, would he go as far as to say that next part? Right? Hey, the problem's the billionaires. He is a billionaire, right? So I don't know. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But having said that, this is good. This is pretty solid.
Voters didn't turn out for Democrats last November. Not because they don't want us to fight for their values, but because they think we don't want to fight for our values. We need to knock off the rust of poll-tested language, decades of stale decorum. It's obscured our better instincts. We have to abandon the culture of incrementalism that has led us to swallow the cruelty and the callousness with barely a cowardly croak.
Look, this is just a little piece of the speech. Go watch more of it, and you'll see. He was spitting, dog. He was spitting. Every line. I mean, he was on it. So, like I said, one of the things he pointed out was like, he said a lot, but he was basically like, bodies should be in the streets, right? Bodies should be in the streets. We should be protesting. The Republicans shouldn't know a moment of peace. Now, of course, he never called for violence or anything like that, but he was calling for protests for sure. He was calling for strikes for sure. He was saying the people who are ruining the country, we should make their lives hell. So I think it was crystal clear and on point. Well, take note of a couple things here. First of all, the question from this fake reporter, and it is a fake reporter. This is some right-wing hack who's there to coddle the ball sack of this administration. He asks modern-day Goebbels, Stephen Miller, hey man, what do you make of these comments from J.B. Pritzker? Is this criminal, maybe? And just wait for his response.
Stephen, Illinois Governor Pritzker just called for mass protests and disruption, saying Republicans cannot know peace, while Trump's border crossings are down 95% and ICE is locking up 800 criminals. Is Pritzker inciting...
What a fucking brown-nosing little liar. You're locking up criminals, and it's great that you're locking up criminals. They're not. It's innocent person after innocent person. 90% of the people they sent to a gulag have no criminal record. What a liar. Holy shit.
Insurrection, and will DOJ take...
Did you hear that? He said, is he stoking an insurrection?
Of 800 criminals. Is Pritzker inciting insurrection, and will DOJ take action?
Well, what I would say is that his comments, if nothing else, clearly could be construed as inciting violence.
So the same regime that arrested a judge, the same regime that's arresting American citizens with no due process, the same regime that is now threatening Supreme Court justices with being arrested, now they're threatening Democratic governors with arrest. First of all, that media guy, fired. Get him out of there. Done, over, never again. Get the fuck out of this field. Get the fuck out of this profession. You are fucking embarrassing. You are a disgrace to this profession. Why do I say that? Because, look, I don't care if you happen to lean right and you're a reporter. You can still ask tough questions and real questions. This is not that. You are a rank propagandist. You'd be better suited in North Korea with what you're doing. I don't understand it. Look, I've had to talk to politicians too. Go back and watch, I don't know, the interview me and Crystal did with Marianne Williamson the last time when she was on Crystal Kyle and Friends. We asked tough questions, right? Sure, there's some where we agree, and so it's not tough, but there's plenty of stuff that's like, hey, here's an area where we disagree. You have to be real. And instead, again, just rank propagandas. This system, this country now is a fucking joke. This is a joke. This is who you're going to bring. Oh, here's the media. They're going to ask real tough questions. Sir, is this Democratic governor inciting violence? Is he inciting terrorism? Like, what the fuck? So no Democrat can say anything that's even just disagreeing with and calling out the Republicans because you guys are going to twist it and spin it and pretend like it's violent. Then meanwhile, you guys say actually violent shit and feel like, hey, shut the fuck up, free speech. These guys are fucking demons. Holy shit. One more time.
Is Pritzker inciting insurrection?
Asking a dude who's involved with a regime that literally did an insurrection. They had the fake electors slate, a massive criminal conspiracy to try to make it so Trump gets to stay in office even after he lost. January 6th, where police officers were violently assaulted by Trumpist thugs. They did an actual insurrection. Is by J.B. Pritzker, by giving a good speech, is he inciting insurrection?
Will DOJ take action?
Well, what I would say is that his comments, if nothing else, clearly could be construed as inciting violence.
This is the guy, by the way, who lied to Trump after the Supreme Court decision and told Trump they ruled 9-0 in our favor, when what the Supreme Court really said is 9-0, you have to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He took a nuanced side point, flipped it, and lied about it, and said, they agreed with you. They said you don't have to do dick. What they really said was you have to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, but then they went on to clarify, we're not saying you have to facilitate and effectuate the return because foreign policy is purely in the realm of the executive branch, and the judicial branch cannot impede on the executive branch when it comes to foreign policy. However, in this instance, this isn't really foreign policy because you are contracting with El Salvador. This is more of a contractor issue, right? So that's why they said you have to facilitate the return. He lied about it and said they were 9-0 in our favor. And then Trump's been going around. He knows now that it was 9-0 against him. He doesn't care. He's lying. He just lies every day about it, right? And so this guy who's willing to lie about a 9-0 Supreme Court decision is now saying this Democratic governor who gave a good speech, maybe he's inciting insurrection. Do you understand? It is absolutely possible they do end up arresting Democratic politicians. We're 100 days in, and they've already arrested judges. We're 100 days in. Where do you think this goes? How far do you think this goes? There is nothing that the sycophantic, pathetic base won't defend, that the cult won't defend. And this guy is a real Nazi, an actual Nazi saying Nazi shit. A Democratic governor gave a good speech where he basically says we have to fight hard against the right and we need to protest and we need to get in the streets and they should be ashamed of what they're doing. They spin that into he's inciting insurrection, he's inciting violence. Watch, then they're going to do it. Watch, all the vandalism of Teslas and burning down cars at the Tesla dealership. They're going to try to charge those people with terrorism. They are effectively going to try to criminalize dissent, and that's exactly what they're talking about here with J.B. Pritzker. Hey, are you criticizing us? You better watch your fucking tongue. You better not go too far. You might end up behind bars. And remember, we don't believe in due process, so maybe you don't even get a day in court. Maybe we just keep you in there locked up as a political prisoner and come up with some bullshit rationale why you don't get a hearing. This is who we're dealing with. Again, if you don't see yet that this is fascism, I don't know what to tell you. It's never been clear. It is painfully obvious. I wish it wasn't the case, but it is the case. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.